Is living in the USA really as bad as some people say it is? Some places can be bad. Poor parts of inner cities can have high crime rates. Poor parts of rural areas can have bad infrastructure and lack government services. Rich parts can have a very high cost of living. But I wouldn't trade places with 99% of the world's population. No. It obviously is better than living in a third world country, but I'd be lying if I said the US didn't have some major issues at the government level. No. Don't believe the Reddit kids. The US is one of the best countries in the world in which to live. It's not terrible, there's just a lot of glaring issues that are really stupid. We have our problems, but we're a lot better off than a lot of countries. Super hard for me. Both my kids are in college. My job is pretty sweet. My wife is hot. And our house is awesome. Oh, my football team sucks. So I guess there's that. Depends. If you are financially okay is the best country. The problem is that a large portion of USA are low-paid workers who don't live well. Oh yeah, totally. Please ignore the people risking their lives trying to enter this country. It's hell here. It's a spectrum. There are definitely millions of people living in the US that would be safer and or more financially sound if they lived in another country. But there are likely even more people that wouldn't fit into that category. It 100% depends if you're poor or not. And where you live. Living as a poor immigrant in the slums of El Paso probably sucks fucking balls. It's hot and dry and dirty and shitty. Living as a white man middle-class engineer in Denver, it's amazing. It's beautiful and mostly clean, and there's opportunity for work and social life. Clean water, clean air, hiking and biking and friends. I have no fear of gun violence. Who says it's bad? Mileage varies a lot. Some people have to be extra scared of getting pregnant. Some can't be different out loud. And some people get very anxious when a cop pulls them over. And some people own the place. Not really. I used to blame the shitty economy or politics for all my problems. Things didn't start getting better until I took some responsibility for it myself. The nice thing about the United States is, there's nothing inherently keeping you from improving your situation. Everyone has that right. Sometimes institutions and circumstances work against you and it's harder. But we are all allowed the same chance if we can find a path to do it. There's a lot of wiggle room there for individual experiences to have different results, but I actually do love my country. Warts and all. It really depends. The problem is the US is huge and we often have local, state, and federal governments fighting for control. No two cities are gonna offer 100% the same experience to every person. You know? That said, unbelievably awful things happen to people in this country, and until you've seen it firsthand, it's kind of easy to shrug and say, well, we don't know the full story, or that can't be true. It's upsetting for people who love this country to find out it has flaws. Big house. No nearby neighbors. Plenty of expendable income and no real reason to lock the doors. Sounds like a pretty good place to live to me. Hey there. It really depends on your personal perspective and experiences. Like any country, the USA has its pros and cons. Some people absolutely love living here. They appreciate the diverse culture, opportunities, and the overall way of life. However, like any place, there are challenges. Things like healthcare costs, education expenses, and certain societal issues can be tough for some folks. It's all about finding your own balance and what matters most to you. If you have any specific questions, feel free to ask. Not in most places. Just stay out of certain places at night and certain other places completely and you'd be fine. It varies wildly. If you have medical issues and aren't rich, it's hell. If you work a low-skill job like fast food, it's hell. If you prefer to walk bike, good luck fam. But if you have a somewhat decent skill or trade, you're living a higher quality of life than the majority of the world. And health dental insurance generally comes with whatever job you work. Basically, if you make it, your quality in life in most ways is much higher than pretty much any other country. The issue is, we leave the people who don't make it in the dust, and their whole lives end up being hell. There's drawbacks, but every country has drawbacks. The worst part about everyday living in the US is the need to drive most places. This isn't true everywhere, of course. But zoning laws, Google Euclidean zoning, basically made many parts of the US shopping center wastelands. There's plenty of exceptions, however. Savannah, GA is an excellent example of a walkable and convenient city to live in. No, I have the option to reside in Australia, a very lovely country, but I prefer living here. I may move back to Australia at some point, but it's USA for now. Not even close. Reddit has a very anti-American slant. And anytime any state implements a policy that most users of this site don't like, they act like we're living in Nazi Germany. Do you think millions of people would risk their lives to come here if that was the case? Healthcare sucks. Conservatives try hard to make life hard for poor people, disabled people, and old people. Otherwise, I love it. Probably because I'm not poor. I am disabled though, and one day I'll be old. So get back to me in a decade or so. It's staring at gorgeous Crescent Bay Park right now. It's sunny and 75 and the roses are in bloom. I live car-free, and my city has a free van for residents that takes you around wherever you need to go in the city. My husband and I have insurance for life through his job. I needed to go to the doctor and got an appointment the next day. And sales tax is only 7%, not 17 like Germany, and income tax is 13 or higher, depending on the circumstance. I retired at age 38. I consider myself in a lucky position, but I'm doing okay. It generally is if you're poor or have a bad health outcome that extends beyond your insurance limits. Just don't be poor and definitely don't be black, and it's a pretty decent place. I've lived in 6 countries. 4 in Europe, 1 in the South Pacific, and the US. Living in America isn't bad at all. If you're young, it can be really awesome, as it often has a lot more opportunity for young people. There is a ton of support for cultural stuff, too often private, so it can be really vibrant too. Well, I just came back from a vacation in several European cities, and one of the takeaways was that, despite it all, I'm very happy I live in the USA. No. The Midwest is amazing if you have a great skill set and high-paying job. You'll own a large home, drive nice cars, have a great retirement fund, and have money for vacations. It's slowly getting worse with WFH and people moving to low cost of living areas, but speaking only on the cheaper areas, I have zero desire to leave the US other than vacation. No, it's awesome most of the time. LMFAO no. Yes and no. Depends on what we're comparing it to. Generally I would say no. It's not as bad as the internet makes it seem. It's relative. Things in America are better than most third world countries. Sure. But civil liberties and democracy are in danger in this country. Trans people are facing threats of violence. Wealth inequality is a big issue. Environmental catastrophes. Inflation. Political divide. It's rough. But it's relative. No, it's great if you can figure out how to avoid the Republican morons. I like it.